Kingdom Hearts: The Novel. Written by Tomoco Kanemaki, original concept by Tetsuya Nomura, illustrations by Shiro Amano, translation by Melissa Tanaka. Published by Yen Press, English translation copyright 2015 by Disney Enterprises Incorporated. Chapter 2: Encounter. The town always greeted everyone warmly. This was Traverse Town. It was full of people who had nowhere else to go, who had lost their homes to the strange events. Donald, Goofy, Jiminy, and Pluto had just arrived in the gummy ship. The man the king had mentioned in his letter, the one who knew about the key, was supposed to be somewhere here. Donald took the lead, his webbed feet smacking on the cobblestones. Maybe we better find Leon, said Goofy, following behind. Pluto brought them up the rear. Do you think this is big city? How would I know? Goofy made a tiny sigh and looked up to the night sky. It looked pretty much the same here as it did in the Disney castle, which made him feel just a little bit better. What with the stars going out and the king disappearing, and this key? Well, there was sure a lot the Goofy didn't know and a lot that made him uneasy. There was one star sparkling more brightly than the others. What kind of star could it be? Just as Goofy thought of that, it happened. Donald! Donald looked up to where Goofy was pointing. Look, the star's going out. The starlight sputtered and vanished. They're really going out. Goofy had heard of it in the castle, but this was the first time he'd seen it happen. It was the kind of thing that couldn't really believe until you've seen it yourself. He thought of what the king had said in the letter. Big trouble brewing. And it was really true. The stars were going out. That couldn't mean anything good. Donald and Goofy exchanged glances and started walking faster toward the town. Come on, Pluto, Goofy called. But Pluto was busy sniffing around. He followed a scent into the back alley. There was hardly any light, but Pluto kept tracking farther in. In the dim alley, lit only by a faint moonlight, there was a boy sprawled on the ground. Pluto trotted up to the boy, tail wiggling, and licked him on the nose. Sora groaned and opened his eyes. What came into focus wasn't the sea or the sky of Destiny Island, but a place he'd never seen before. And a dog. What a dream. Right, this place has to be a dream. I've never seen anything that isn't our Sun Money Bright Island. He began to drift off again, and Pluto jumped on his stomach. Oof! This isn't a dream! Sora stood up, rubbing his eyes, and looked around. He was still in the same totally unfamiliar scene. The night sky spread out above like it did in the Disney Islands, but it looked a little hazier than the one he remembered. Oh boy. Sora helplessly turned to the dog. Hey, do you know where we are? The dog waggled his tail and scrambled away. Hey, wait! Sora began to chase the dog, but he must have run down or to another alleyway as Sora couldn't see him anywhere. He came to a wide open spot like a town square and looked around again. There were a lot of people there here, after all, going to and fro through the square. This is weird. Am I in another world? It felt like he'd gotten lost in a fairy tale. There was nothing like this in the Destiny Island. A town square laid in with cobblestones and lit by lanterns. So, after he was sucked into the sphere, somehow he'd made it to another world. But what about the island? And Riku and Kairi? Where the heck am I? He thought. Just then the keyblade gleamed in his hand. He couldn't do anything to those shadowy things with the wooden sword, but he could beat them with the keyblade. He told himself that. Maybe he'd be okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe someone. Wait, what's that? Sora tried talking to the funny looking creature in the middle of the square. Where am I? Koopa? The funny looking creature with the red pom pom sprouting from its head looked up to him. I'm Sora. I just woke up here. I'm Koopa the Moogle, Koopa. So Koopa was its name and Moogle was its species, if Sora was making that out correctly. So just from my home. I got nowhere to go, Koopa. There were shadows after you too. Sure were, Koopa. The pom-pom swayed as the Koopa hung his head. Wow, so it wasn't just the Destiny Islands. Koopa didn't seem to want to talk anymore, so Sora walked away. New around here? An older woman said to him. Where am I? Sora asked again. This place where people end up when they have nowhere else to call home. Traverse Town. I'm from Destiny Island. What about you? The woman just smiled sadly. You shouldn't ask people that here. We all have painful memories. Then the shadows got your. Don't ask such rude question, she said with sorrow in her eyes. Now, maybe the owner of the accessory store can tell you what you want to know. She pointed at the store up some steps from the square. Okay, thanks. Sora ran across the square and leaped out the steps. Up in the sky above, another star went out. Hey there, how can I? Oh, it's just some kid. The man who came up of the counter had goggles on his head, a cigarette hanging from his lip, and a belly band over his t-shirt. A middle-aged man, hardly the sort of person Sora would have expected to find running in the accessory shop. I'm not a kid, and the name's Sora, he shot back, posing the keyblade. Okay, simmer down. So what's up, Sora? Need a present for a girlfriend? That's not it, Sora pounded at the teasing. You lost then? No, well, maybe. I mean, I just woke up here. The man folded his arms and rumbled. Okay, why don't you start from the beginning, Sora? Well, I came from this place called Destiny Island. Sora told him everything about the island, the shadows, Kairi and Riku. Now that someone was really listening to him, he felt a little better. Uh-huh, I see. When Sora finished, the man felt quiet, looking pensive. So, Gramps, is this really another world? Don't call me Gramps. The name's Sid. Okay, Sid. So this is another world, isn't it? Sora said, staring at him closely. Not sure what you're talking about, but it sure ain't your island. He hadn't left the island the way he'd planned, but there was no way to doubt it now. He was in another world. So where could Kairi and Riku have ended up? And everyone else on the island? Yeah. Hey Sid, do you think Kairi and Riku are here too? Couldn't tell ya. Sid frowned. I'd better start looking for them. With that, Sora sounded more determined, and Sid gave him a brash grin in return. Well, good luck with whatever you're doing. If you run into trouble, you come to me. I'll look out for you. Thanks. Holding tight to the keyblade, Sora nodded and rushed out of the shop. Sid rested his elbows on the counter and stretched over to make sure Sora had shut the door behind him. The keyblade. So that's the key thing, huh? He mumbled to himself. Maybe I better tell Leon. It sure would be nice if they were here somewhere. Sora ran through the town. From what the people who lived here told him, it was a pretty big place. The part where he woke up was the first district. Beyond that was the second district, and then the third district. And if there were lots of other worlds that had been swallowed up by like the Destiny Islands, there must have been more like worlds, like the Traverse Town, that were still safe from the shadows. So that meant Kairi and Riku might be in the other worlds. Sora thought that with a sigh. He ran up the streets and down the alleys that emerged from the big door. Hey, you look like you're new, said a boy who came through the door. It's kind of dangerous through there, be careful. Dangerous? Said Sora. How did that other boy come here from a world that got swallowed up by the shadows too? From what he'd seen in the first district, this town definitely didn't seem like that dangerous. Go see for yourself. There sure have been a lot of newcomers today, though. Did the shadows take over another world? Sora missed that part. Newcomers? You mean there are other people besides me who showed up here today? Yeah, looks like. I saw a couple of in the second district through this door. Kind of a weird looking pair. Thanks. Hey, be careful. Maybe it was Kairi or Riku. Hope swelling up in his chest. Sora opened the door to the second district. On the other side there was a narrow street. Kairi! Riku! He shouted. No one answered. He kept walking a little let down. Right in front of him, a man turned a corner and fell over. Whoa, are you okay? Sora went to help him, but the man's chest began to glow with a red light. A glittering heart-shaped thing floated up and was sucked into the small shadowy orb that appeared right in the air. Was that the same sort of shadowy orb he'd seen on the island? Without thinking, Sora held up his keyblade out ready to fight. The orb took a form of a humanoid shape in an instant, then disappeared. And then a little black monster came out of the ground. These things were on the island. It was the same as the little shadowy things he'd fought before. They're here too! They arrived and appeared one after another, and they were all coming just for Sora. He brought the glowing keyblade down on them, and after one or two blows they disappeared. There's no end to them. More and more little shadowy creatures came, and Sora ran through the second district square, striking them down as he went. Donald and Goofy were in the second district hotel. Doesn't look like there are anybody here, said Goofy, opening the front door. It certainly did seem lonesome. Leon! Donald called out as he left the hotel. I wonder where he could be. Goofy looked this way and that, then squinted, looking for the second district square. Hmm? What now, Goofy? I thought I saw someone go by. Quack! Donald stared off towards the square, but didn't see anyone. Are you seeing goats? Gosh, maybe. Sora hurtled down another street to avoid more shadows and caught his breath. Nobody could be able to handle that many. He stretched his arms and took a deep breath. To win, he'd have to start with a clear head. Then you can outwit your opponents. That's what Waka said. I'm okay, I won't lose. And Sora opened the door to the third district. Donald and Goofy glanced every which way they walked through the alleys of the second district. Guess there's nobody here after all, Goofy said, sounding spooked. Ah, don't be such a fady cat. And you call yourself the captain of the Royal Knights. Quack! Something poked Donald to the back. He jumped high in the air and came clinging to Goofy. Excuse me, are you friends of the king? Standing behind them was a smiling young lady in a pink dress. Gosh, do you know the king? Oh, yes, she replied brightly. Careful, Goofy, it could be a trick. Donald brandished his magic wand. But she looks too nice to be trouble, said Goofy. How do you know? Donald was still inching back. Confused, Goofy looked back from him to the girl. Her long brown braids swayed and she looked a little worried. Then she smiled again. You must be looking for Leon, right? Leon? Hearing that name, Donald and Goofy both sprang up. The king already contacted him. Let's go. It's not very safe out here. Gorzer, what should we do, Donald? What's the matter with you? She looks way too nice to be trouble. The girl looked back and laughed. So you two are Donald and Goofy. I'm Aerith. Nice to meet you. I guess they're not here. After running around the third district, Sora came back to the second district and stood in front of the fountain, looking up at the night sky. The pair of newcomers the other boy had mentioned probably weren't Kairi and Riku after all. Somehow he got the feeling that he'd met someone here in this town. But after all the searching, he still hadn't found Kairi or Riku. What do I do now? Then Sora remembered what Sid at the accessory shop had told him. He could go there if he ever was in trouble. But just as he was up thinking about it, more black shadows came from the ground. These things just won't go away. Sora ran at them with the keyblade ready. It just felt like he was getting better at using it. I just know I'll find them. He took down the shadows and hurried back to the first district. Hey there, how? Oh, it's just Sora. What do you mean, just me? It wasn't unlike the exchange when Sora had first walked into the accessory shop, but this time, instead of dashing up to the counter, he plodded. Still can't find their bodies, huh? No. Sid sure did seem like read him easily, Sora thought. But I just keep having the feeling like I'll find somebody here. Huh. Sid stroked the stubble on his chin. Well then, you just wanna give up. Why don't you take a second look around the town? I guess you're right. Sid gave him a grin thumbs up. Of course I am. Okay, I'll look some more. There you go. Good thing you got plenty of energy, kid. I'm not a kid. Feeling more encouraged, Sora ran out of the shop again. Then he heard another man's voice. They'll come at you out of nowhere. Who's there? Sora jumped down from the steps in front of the shop and turned with the keyblade ready to face the man behind him. And they'll keep coming at you, as long as you continue to wield the keyblade. The man had a strange kind of sword across his back, a huge gun with a blade at the end of it. His long hair fluttered in the night breeze, and a smirk dug in the corner of his mouth. Then he let out a sigh, and his shoulders dropped. The breeze moved his hair aside, revealing a big scar on his face. But why would it choose a kid like you? Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Never mind. Let me see that keyblade now. The man came closer. Sora shifted, ready to fight. What? There's no way you're getting this! He smiled coldly. Alright then, we'll have to do this the hard way. He took out the strange sword, the gunblade, and lunged straight for Sora. A chain attached to the barrel jingled. At the end of it was a silver chain in the shape of a lion's head, gleaming in the moonlight. I knew it! You're one of them! Sora yelled. I wouldn't be so sure about that. The man closed in and attacked Sora with a fierce blow. Sora managed to block it with the keyblade, but it just almost seemed like the force might break it. It was stronger than anyone Sora had fought before, stronger than Waka or Tidus or Riku. You are not bad, the man remarked, smiling and leaping back. From just that one attack, Sora was out of breath. Maybe he was no match for someone like this. So how about this? The gunblade came at him and from the side. Sora dodged it by the hair breadth, nearly defeated by the man's speed. His invincible smirk made Sora feel like he was being toyed with. I'm not done yet! This time the gunblade rained down blows from above. Clang, clang! Sora could feel the impact right through the keyblade and all the way to his bones. Groaning, he jumped back, charged again, and rushed into the attack. Yeah! He attacked upward from below, and he definitely made contact. But you really aren't done, huh? A blow came down hard into Sora's head, knocking him back, and then he wasn't sure what happened. But it felt like he'd thrown into the air for a long time, and he could feel the night sky drifting peacefully above. He fell flat on his back, and his head met the cobblestones with a thump. Everything went dark. Phew. The man shouldered his gunblade. From behind him, he heard someone applauding. We lucked out finding it here, huh, Leon? He turned, and a black-haired girl was standing there. He shrugged and grinned. With a giant shuriken strapped to her back, she looked like a fighter too. Sid told me, he said. Hmm. She ran up to Sora and kneeled down to gently touch his head. For someone who'd lost a fight, the kid looked pretty comfortable. His eyes closed as if he was just napping. Looks like he's not hurt too badly. Of course he isn't. I did go easy on him. Leon put the gunblade away and picked up Sora to carry him on one shoulder. His head was spinning, and a little hurt too. What was just happening? Come on, you lazy bum, wake up! It was Kairi's voice. Sora regained his consciousness, and Kairi was staring into his face, looking worried. Finally. You okay? I guess. He sat up slowly, hazily trying to focus on Kairi. Was he dreaming? Those creatures that attacked you are after the Keyblade, but it's hard you're what they really want, because you wield the Keyblade. I'm so glad you're okay, Kairi, Sora sighed in relief. Now they just had to find Riku. Kairi? Who's that? I'm the great ninja Yuffie. Huh? Sora looked closer at the girl in front of him. Her hair did look like Kairi's, except that it wasn't the same color, and her face was different too. Yuffie turned to the man behind her. I think you might have overdone it, Squall. That's Leon. It was the man Sora had fought in the square. He stiffened. We're not the bad guys. Take a look around, Leon said reassuringly. Where? It looked like they were in a room with a hotel he'd seen in the second district. The bed Sora had been woken up was nice and soft, and next to him was a cool, damp towel they must have been using to ice his head. The keyblade rested against the wall. We have to get the Keyblade away from you to shake off those creatures, said Yuffie. It turns out that's how they were tracking you. It was the only way to conceal your heart from them, Leon went on. Conceal his heart? Sora looked up at him. Once you lost consciousness, they lost the track at your heart. But it won't work for long. Still hard to believe that out of all people, you're the chosen one. Leon picked the Keyblade and swung it through the air. It sparkled and vanished from Leon's hand, then reappeared in Sora's. Well, I suppose beggars can't be choosers. None of this is making any sense, Sora complained. What's going on here? Leon and Yuffie looked at each other. Back in other room of the hotel, Donald and Goofy listened to Aerith, patient and serious. When they'd come looking for Leon before, there hadn't been anyone here, but now they could hear people in the next room too. Okay, you know there are other worlds besides this town in your castle, right? Yup, Goofy nodded. But there's supposed to be a secret. That's right. They've been a secret because they've never been connected until now. Harriet looked down sadly. When the Heartless came, everything changed. The Heartless, said Donald. Maybe you haven't seen them yet. Dark, shadowy creatures. Those are the Heartless. She stood up restlessly. Do they look like ghosts? Yes, they look like ghosts that live in the darkness. Pacing slowly, she paused in front of a window and looked out at the city lights. The heartless in people's hearts. That's what attracts them. And there's darkness in every heart. Well, not ours, said Donald, hopping on his feet. Eris shook her head. Even a little fear is enough to turn a heart into darkness. Sometimes. She looked as if she'd remembered something painful. Then she smiled, as if to shake off her own darkness. Have you heard of a man named called Ansem? Ansem? Goofy cocked his head and exchanged glances with Donald. Neither of them had heard that name like that. He was studying the Heartless. He recorded all of his findings in a very detailed report. Gosh, can we see it? Goofy held out his hand, but Aries shook her head. The pages are scattered everywhere. Scattered, said Donald. Across many worlds. Aries sat down on the bed again. So, these hardest things came. Then the worlds were connected, and the stars started going out. And there's a report about the Heartless, and the king left. Donald thought aloud. So, Goofy pounded his fist into his other palm. Oh, then maybe the king went. To find the report, yes, that's what I was thinking too, said Aerith. We gotta find him quick. Goofy tapped Donald on the back as if they had to hurry right away. Donald stood fast with his arms folded. But don't we need that key first? He asked Aerith. That's right, the keyblade. Aerith looked towards the neighboring room. So, this is the key. Sora held up the keyblade, staring at it. Exactly. Yuffie nodded. The Heartless have a great fear of the Keyblade, said Leon. That's why they keep coming after you, no matter what. Well, I didn't ask for this, Sora protested. The Keyblade chose its master, and it chose you. Yuffie poked the Keyblade. Leon gave him a cynical smile. So, tough luck. Tough luck? Come on! I mean, how did all this happen? I remember being in my room. Then Sora gasped and leaped onto his feet, looking at them frantically. Wait a minute! What happened to my home? My island? Riku! Kairi! Leon only shook his head. But calm down. There's still more to explain. Leon quieted him with a look. Somehow feeling like he had to listen to Leon, Sora sat down again, but his heart was still racing. Kairi, Riku, our island. What could have happened to them? Did you see a large door open? Leon asked. Yeah, I did, that big white door, and then. But there must have been a door before that. Each world has a keyhole, and each keyhole is connected to the heart of that world. The heart of the world? No one knows what the heart of the world looks like yet. But the heartless come in search of the keyholes. Leon pushed his hair back and glanced towards the neighboring room. The heartless enter through the keyhole and do something to the world's core, said Yuffie, peering closely at Sora and poking the keyblade. And then what happens? Sora asked. The darkness comes out of the keyhole, and then the world disappears. What? Sora jumped up again, staring at the other two. That large, great big door, and the darkness that was pouring forth from it. The collapsing world. Like our world did? That's right, Leon said gravely. That's why we have to lock the keyholes. Sora weakly shook his head. But I have to find Kairi and Riku. The worlds have been destroyed to get scattered off across the world, Yuffie told him gently. So, while you're visiting the other worlds, maybe you'll find your friends. At that, Sora looked up. Maybe. There's still a lot we don't know, said Leon. Okay, so I have to lock these worlds, right? But how do I do it? Like, Sora trailed off. They felt a strange presence. Leon! Yuffie poked at the corner. A shadow had appeared there. A Heartless. Yuffie, go! Leon shouted. She took the shuriken from her back and dashed out of the neighboring room. Sora sat there bewildered. Let's go, Sora, but the Heartless have sniffed you out. The darkness in your heart, in the heart of the Keyblade wearer. Darkness. Sora, stay with me! One after another, Leon destroyed the Heartless at game for Sora, but Sora wasn't moving. He couldn't. The Keyblade was shining in his hand. Worlds were disappearing. Worlds had already disappeared, like Destiny Island. And his friends were gone. Kairi and Riku. I have to do this, he thought. Sora! Right. Finally he stood up, holding the Keyblade tight. Take this! Leon swung his gunblade and sent the Heartless flying. The window shattered, and Leon simply leaped through to outside. Sora followed and landed after him. The alleyway behind the hotel was swarming with Heartless. No matter how many they defeated, more appeared. Don't bother with the small fry, said Leon. We have to find their leader. Let's go. He ran, with Sora close to his heels. So that's how it is. Sounds like we really need that key, said Donald, and just then there was commotion coming from the next room. The door flew open and a black-haired girl came running in. Aerith! Yuffie! Aerith stood up from the bed. The Heartless are here! It's not safe here anymore, Yuffie shouted, attacking the Heartless as they were coming in from the other room. Gosh, are these the Heartless guys? Said Goofy, hunkering behind his shield. That's right, Yuffie replied. Let's go get him, Goofy! Donald readied his wand and then, look out! The Heartless flew from the room and slammed themselves against Donald and Goofy. Whack! Knocked back, they crashed through the window and out into the empty air. Quack! Their howls echoed through the city. Hearing some odd shrieks from overhead, Sora looked up, but just a moment too late. Whack! Oh! Oof! Donald landed tail first on top of Sora, and Goofy crashed head first on top of them. What just happened? Sora mumbled, still holding onto the keyblade even while being smooshed. Two voices chorused from on top of him. The key! And then something strange came over the second district. What's going on? The three got up nearly at the one all once and readied their weapons. Sora with his keyblade, Donald with his wand, and Goofy with his shield. With a roaring rumble, stone walls rose up from the ground, trapping them in the second district square. And then the Heartless after Heartless sprang up and headed straight for them. Here they come, Sora shouted. They had no choice but to fight. Let me at 'em! Fire! Here goes! Flames bursted from Donald's wand, and Goofy rushed the Heartless. Not to be outdone, Sora leaped into the swarm of Heartless. There were more than a few, but he was pretty sure the three of them could handle it. Hey, not bad. Well, I'm the royal magician, you know, Donald shot back. Here come some more, Goofy told them. Sora knocked the Heartless back, and Donald finished it off with the magic. Goofy attacked another one and threw it into the Keyblade's path. They fought perfectly together, almost as if they had been comrades all along. When the Heartless were all defeated, the trio finally took a look around each other for the first time and they smiled. But in the very next moment, a huge bundle of metal fell clanking out of the sky. Whack! Donald skidded back and forth, trying to avoid being flattened. The metal pieces bounced up off the ground and amassed together in the center of the square, into the shape of an enormous suit of armor. Gosh, is that a Heartless too? Goofy said, huddling behind his shield. Sora nodded. I bet this one's the leader. A helmet landed on top of the armor. Sora, Donald, and Goofy were confronted by the giant Heartless, the guard armor. Do you think we can beat it? If we all fight together, we'll be okay. Sora rested the keyblade on his shoulder to look at Donald and Goofy. But we've never fought together before, said Goofy. We'll be fine. I'm Sora. He gave him a lopsided grin. Donald Duck here. I'm Goofy. They introduced themselves just in the time before the guard armor came rushing at them. Here we go. The three of them run under it. First, Sora jumped up and attacked the main bulk of it, but the guard armor didn't seem to take the hit at all. Quack! The parts started moving in their own, and the foot stomped down on Donald. Gosh, are you okay? Goofy ran over to help him up. In the meantime, Sora was dodging the other foot that came for him.
Ow, 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 why you? Fire!
Donald hit the right hand with his magic wand, but it didn't do much damage either. The torso and the 2 feet, stomping around with minds of their own, came after them. It's not like it's not doing any good. With the left foot crunching him, Goofy held up his shield and ran off to the corner of the square.
Take that and that!
Donald kept shooting magic at the right foot, and it finally seemed to weaken. Sora ran up and attacked it, striking it with a huge clang. I got it! If we're gonna beat this thing, we have to gang up on a part at a time, he shouted, wailing away at the right foot. Goofy came dashing out of the corner. Wahoo!
Fire!
Goofy's shield dealt with a heavy blow and hit Donald's magic exploding on its target. There we go! As Sora pumped his fist in the air, the right foot burst apart. Now the left foot! They concentrated their attacks again, as he said, and this time easily disabled the left foot. Whoa! That's pretty good! Goofy yelled, and this time he rushed at the guard armor's right hand. It was spinning around, which made it hard to hit, but the first 3 of them together took it out, and then the left hand too.
Now just the torso.
Donald attacked the torso with the barrage of magic, and Goofy leaped up to hit it with his shield. At this point, all they could do was wear down the guard armor's strength. Take this! Sora took a flying leap and struck the torso, and the guard armor fell like a marionette with the strings cut. Is that it?
Quack, quack, quack!
Donald kept on attacking the immobile guard armor, and then a big heart floated up from out of the torso. Huh? As the 3 of them watched, the guard armor dissolved into little sparks of light and disappeared. All right, we won! Sora jumped at Donald and hugged him. Whack! We did it! Cried Goofy and did the same thing. Smushed together, Donald let out a weird noise. Whack! Not too shabby, Sora. Sora looked up to see Leon standing atop the wall. Well, I didn't beat it by myself, you know, Sora smiled, speaking over Donald's head.
That's right. He had to help from a royal magic Donald Duck too.
Goofy hushed him from butting in. So you already met? Said Leon. Met? Well, we know each other's names, Sora replied. I see. Leon jumped down from the wall. They've been looking for you. For me? For the Keyblade wielder. Sora turned uneasy to look back at Donald and Goofy. Hey, why don't you come with us? Goofy said, taking a step towards Sora. We can go to other worlds on our vessel. Other worlds? We're looking for the king, Goofy explained. I wonder if I can find Riku and Kairi.
Of course,
said Donald. Sora looked at Leon, hoping to have some kind of advice. Sora, go with them, especially if you want to find your friends. Yeah, I guess. Could he really find Kairi and Riku? And he had just been fighting alongside these two so well, but could he keep doing that? Anyway, it was really just about the Keyblade. Wait, no, Sora remembered. He already made that decision when that this was something he had to do. But can I really do anything?
Sora,
Donald gave him a serious look.
You can't come along looking like that.
Huh? Why not? It was Goofy who protested first. Sora kept staring at Donald unhappily.
No frowning, no sad face, okay?
Donald made a sad face and a frown, scrounging his brow on purpose. Oh, that's right. Only smiles can come aboard the gummy ship. Goofy brought his face closer to Sora's and screwed up his face to a dorky smile. You gotta look funny, like us.
Our ship runs on happy faces,
Donald said with a beaming grin. Still hanging his head, Sora thought about it a little and
Nyee!
He made his eyes pop and smiled as wild as he could. Donald and Goofy burst out into laughter.
Yeah, like that, Sora.
But that face is too funny. Goofy was rolling on the ground laughing. Seriously. Even Leon cracked a weary smile. Okay, I'll go with you guys, Sora said with a real smile. I'm going to find them.
So, let's do this right. Donald Duck.
He held out his hand. The name's Goofy. He placed his hand on top of Donald's. And I'm Sora. Finally, Sora did the same thing, adding his hand atop theirs. All for one, and one for all, Goofy's voice rang out. With no Heartless for the moment, Traverstown felt a little quieter but friendlier. So, if there's any trouble, just come back here, Leon told Sora and the others once they had prepared to leave. Got it, Sora replied, smiling. And we might hear from the king, said Donald. Aerith nodded.
Besides, we still haven't found the door in Traverse Town. As long as the door stays unlocked, the Heartless will probably keep coming. Even if they do, there's nothing to worry with Yuffie on the job. Yuffie grinned.
We'll make sure to find the door before you come back, said Leon. Sora nodded. Aerith took a step closer, looking a little worried.
Be careful, Sora.
I'll be okay. I got Donald and Goofy with me now.
Yeah, leave it to us.
Donald pounded his chest, making Aerith smile.
Good thing you have made friends. Yeah.
Let's go, Sora, said Goofy, and Sora started towards the gate. Don't let your guard down, Leon said after him. Hold on to your heart. Sora waved the keyblade over his head in reply. A mysterious space opened up outside the gate, and a strange little ship was there to meet them. Not quite an airplane, not quite a submarine.
This is our dummy ship. Come on, let's get going.
Donald apparently preferred to hurry, but at the moment Jiminy came out of his pocket.
Are you forgetting someone?
Ack! Startled by Jiminy, Sora fell back on his behind.
The name's Jiminy Cricket. I'll be going with you too.
Gee, you surprised me. I'm Sora, nice to meet you. Sora got up and held up his hand, and Jiminy took a hold of his fingertip in a shake.
Likewise, I'm sure. I'll stay on the ship to watch over things. So, everyone ready to go?
Ready! We just got plenty of items, some snacks and accessories too. Goofy tumbled his chest.
Well then, let's be off. There must be some pretty big adventure coming our way. I'll be here to help you on your journey.
Thanks, Jiminy. Jiminy politely doffed his hat and bowed and jumped into Sora's pocket this time.
Okay, here we go. Let's hurry up and find the king.
Donald headed towards the ship. And I'm going to find Kairi and Riku, said Sora, following him. Goofy came after them. And we're gonna lock the keyholes too. So together they took off to the other sky, to unknown worlds. Hey, small announcement here before I end this video. I am going to start recording the next chapter, which will be titled, according to the book, The First Princess, and it will be set in the first Disney world, which is Wonderland. But I am all just like the Harley Quinn movie or Birds of Prey and the unnecessary subtitle, including Harley Quinn. I am going to make another video essay coming soon in the upcoming weeks about this thing. Now that now I hope you enjoyed the video, and may your heart be your guiding key.